NLC rejects planned cybersecurity levy. President Tinubu returns 2 weeks abroad. EFCC grills 20 NSCDC contractors, 10 officers. And on the foreign scene, Kenya continues forceful demolition of Nairobi informal settlements near rivers. Hello, welcome to News Updates on Trust TV. I'm Lillian Ogazi. Now to the news in details. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has described the planned cybersecurity levy introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria on all electronic transactions as another burden on Nigerians. According to a circular issued to various financial institutions, including commercial and merchant non-interest and payment service banks, the Apex Bank indicated that the levy would come into effect in 2 weeks from May 6th. The levy's introduction has sparked widespread criticism among Nigerians and civil society organizations projecting the policy. The NLC President Joe Ajero said such deductions directly affect the disposable income of workers and further diminish the purchasing power of the common citizens. He said the directive is another gang-up by the ruling elite to continue its extortion and exploitation of helpless workers and the masses. Meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) is set to arraign a former registrar of Zamfara State Upper Sharia Court 1 Gusau, Abubakar Garba Dandare, before Justice Bello Shinkafi of Zamfara State High Court sitting in Gusau. Dandare has been arraigned on 2 counts charges bordering on diversion of 3.8 million naira belonging to a late businessman Alhaji Ladan Mada and forgery of the signature of his next of kin Aminu Muda on the court cash deposit register. According to the EFCC, the suspects committed the offense of criminal breach of trust contrary to Section 311 of the Penal Code, Cap 89 laws of Northern Nigeria 1963, and punishable under same Section 312 of the same law. Vigilante group in Taraba State has killed an assistant superintendent of police. The police officer was shot in an ambush in Sandride village of Gasso local government area of the state. In a statement made available on Wednesday morning in Jalingo, the state's capital, Police Commissioner David Iloyamon said the ambush was led by the leader of the vigilante group, whom he identified as Ali Diso. Now, according to him, a team of Special Strike Force operatives attached to Government House Taraba State, led by SP Jamu Emmanuel, while on routine patrol at Sandride village in Gasso Local Government Council, were ambushed by a group of local vigilante. He said the vigilante group shot the officer on his lap, a situation that led to his demise in the hospital situated in the village. Meanwhile, a vigilante group in River State known as OSPAC have reportedly killed 2 siblings, Collins Ugoji and his brother Newman Ugoji in Idu community, Ogbaigbe Mandoni local government areas of River State. The cousin of the deceased Wade Ugoji, his cousins Collins Ugoji and his brother Newman, who he said came back from Benin, went to Idu to visit one of their relations and were arrested by the vigilante group. He said that the vigilante group branded his cousins kidnappers, took them into custody and consequently shot them to death. He said the motorbike that belonged to the victims as well as other personal belongings were taken away by the group. River State Police Command Public Relations Officer SP Grace Iringe Koko said the DPO of Omoku Police Division with his patrol team had visited Idu community soon after the information got to them. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Abuja after spending 2 weeks abroad. Tinubu arrived at his official residence at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja in the early hours of Wednesday. In a tweet on Tuesday evening, Tinubu's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, revealed President Tinubu along with his aide will return to Nigeria tomorrow from Europe. 2 weeks ago, the president departed Abuja for the Netherlands for a 3-day official visit, honoring an invitation from the Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. He joined over 1,000 leaders from businesses, government and academia from more than 90 countries to review actions taken since the inaugural Growth Summit held in Geneva, Switzerland in 2023. It was his second visit to the Gulf state in 5 months. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has called for more proactive steps from security agencies to address cases of banditry and kidnapping in parts of the country. Now, this followed several motions of urgent public importance reporting cases of insecurity in parts of Enugu, Kaduna, and Abia states.
I think that we should look at all our resolutions that has to do with insecurity, all the resolutions. Let us put them together and begin to ensure compliance with some of these resolutions. Because we arrive at resolutions day in, day out, and nothing happens. And to Nigerians, it is as if we are not doing anything or we don't really bother. I think that we have enforcement mechanism to some of our resolutions. Let us activate those enforcement mechanisms so that we begin to enforce resolutions.
We have an alternative where we can bring in mercenaries. It was attempted during President Goodluck Jonathan. They were about to finish Boko Haram. And later on, the new president was convinced and removed them out of the country, and the insecurity keep on escalating.
Urge the Nigerian Police Force and the Nigerian Army, as well as the Department of State Security Services, to collaborate and ensure that the culprits involved are brought to book. Also urge the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, the National Emergency Agency, NEMA, to provide food and non-food items to the affected victims.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Senate has set up a committee to look into the Abuja Centenary City 10 years after it was kick-started. At the resumption of plenary on Tuesday, the Senate also considered new bills as senators remain divided over the paucity of funds to finance projects. Senate correspondent Sagi Ibrahim has a roundup of the day's highlights.
At the Senate's recent plenary session, discussion centered on the establishment of public institutions, with senators expressing concerns over potential financial burdens associated with proposed bills. Senator Suleiman Sadiq introduced a bill to establish the National Institute for Education Planning and Administration, prompting caution from Senator Adams Oshomole regarding additional strain on government finances, particularly in light of plans to implement the Oronsoye report.
We have to be careful not to create more and more institutions. I am not able to readily understand why the Ministry of Education cannot create a department to deal with all of those issues that this particular bill sought to achieve.
The institution NEPA is already existing, and it has a very functioning and functional office in Ondo State where they are doing a good job. But there is no legal framework, and that is what this bill intends to achieve. So there is no additional financial application on the part of the government on this particular institution. It's just to give it a legal backing.
If the administration wants to merge this institution with another, it is free to do so.
Senate leader Yahya Abdullahi clarified that the bill aims to provide legal backing to an existing institution rather than create a new one, alleviating some initial concerns. Despite the debate, there was significant support for a bill to establish the Federal University of Applied Sciences in Manchok, Kaduna State, as lawmakers emphasized the importance of legislation enhancing access to education and citing the correlation between education, investment and development, drawing examples from developed countries. Under the guidance of the Senate President, the bill passed its second reading.
We are now in the era of AI, artificial intelligence. The world is moving very fast. We can't be left behind. We need to have this kind of institutions, science-inclined institutions, to provide necessary education to our youth, to all our sundry, to be better placed in that position to develop our country.
I am convinced that we don't just need education, we need relevant education. And this bill speaks to and intend to achieve those fields in which we still have some deficiency.
I thank the senior Senator Sunday Marshall for bringing this bill, and there is no single person opposed to the bill being read a second time.
Meanwhile, Senate President Godswill Akpabio named Deputy President of the Senate, Barrow Jibrin, to chair a 7-man ad hoc committee tasked with investigating the stall of the Abuja Centenary City project, which had been approved a decade ago. The project, intended as an economic hub, had seen minimal progress, prompting concerns about its delay. Senator Ashiru Oyetola reviewed less than 7% progress on critical infrastructure, such as road construction, and Senator Isa Ibrahim Echuchu suggested involving investment bankers to attract foreign investors, albeit expressing reservations about the creation of ad hoc committees.
Reviving and completing Abuja Centenary City project will have immense benefits for Nigeria, including job creation, elevating Nigerian profile as an attractive investment destination for foreign investment, tourism and events, and overall national development.
If the Ministry of Finance can put together a team of investment bankers to come up with a package, that will enable investors to invest in that project by way of ordinary shares and debt, I think it will be a good combination.
I don't support this idea of any issue that comes up, you set up ad hoc committee. Why did we give the committees responsibility then? Our committees are based on capability of our colleagues. So unless the issue at stake cannot be properly placed, it's neither here nor there, then you set up an ad hoc committee.
Accordingly, we hereby set up the ad hoc committee because of the seriousness of this project. We have a 7-man committee to look into the issue.
Despite concerns, the Senate President appointed Deputy President of the Senate, Jibrin, as chairman of the committee alongside other notable senators like Senator Adiola Olamilekan and Senator Aminu Tambuwal. The committee was tasked with reporting back to the Senate within 4 weeks. This investigation underscores the Senate's commitment to oversight and accountability in public projects aiming to address issues hindering progress and ensure effective utilization of resources. From the Senate chambers of the National Assembly, Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Away from that, the Prices of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Tuesday reportedly arrested some bureau de change operators at the popular Wuse Zone 4 market. The scheme's traders, also some BBC's operators, resisted the arrest during a sting operation. The operatives had embarked on routine raids to sanitize the market of street traders and eliminate arbitrary trading. But this move was resisted on Tuesday, leading to gunshots and damage to the operatives' vehicles. The EFCC had resumed raiding in a bid to stabilize the naira. This is news updates coming to you from Trust TV. Coming up, residents react as government demolishes shanties in Makurdi. More news when we return Tuesday. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is news updates coming to you from Trust TV. Let's take a quick look at our headlines again. NLC rejects planned cybersecurity levy. President Tinubu returns after 2 weeks abroad. Now moving on, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is currently investigating 10 senior officers of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and CDC for their alleged involvement in a 7.5 billion naira fraud. Additionally, 10 contractors linked to the fraud have been summoned by the Anti-Graft Agency Chairman Ola Olukayode, issued a letter dated April 26, 2024, inviting the indicted NCDC officers for questioning, with sessions scheduled from May 2nd, 2024 onwards. The investigation revealed that the 7.5 billion naira fraud involved multiple contractors and funds were traced to bureau de change operators allegedly laundered by the senior NSCDC officers. Now, it was disclosed that payments were made to 20 contractors worth 2 billion naira, allocated to 3 major contractors. The EFCC has interrogated all contractors except one female contractor who received over 1 billion naira, primarily converted to US dollars. Useful statements from the contractors led to the recovery of approximately 1 billion naira. Some contractors planned to protest at the National Security Advisor's office, seeking intervention, as a claim that their jobs were executed by NSCDC officers without their knowledge. Despite invitations, one indicted contractor who received 1 billion naira is yet to respond. Investigations also revealed alleged underpayment of NSCDC staff during recent elections compared to counterparts in other agencies. Previous reports stated senior officers being interrogated at the EFCC headquarters in Abuja. Reactions have trailed the demolition of structures in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, by the Urban Development Board. Those who speak to Trust Television said the displacement of some members of the business committee in the state is a call for concern. Jimmy Azande reports.
Some of the residents are saying that though the action may result in development of the state capital, but the timing is wrong given the current economic difficulties in the country.
Someone said that a good thing done at the wrong time is not useful. So I feel the pains for those people because the timing is very, very wrong. Why do I say this? This is a very difficult time that Nigerians are passing through, very, very terrible times. You and I know the cost of living now, vis-a-vis the cost of fuel, the rise in cost in the dollar, and all that.
A section of Makurdi residents are accusing the government agency of deliberately crippling the micro businesses. They demand for compensation for those affected.
I think they need a little compensation because laxity creep into their activity. The reason being that if they had stopped that erection in the first place, that wouldn't have happened. So there wouldn't have been any need for them to come out for that destruction in the first place. So for them to have allowed the structures to be erected in the first place and then come off to destroy, that is where I fault them that they should have that sense of human angle to give a little compensation to those that are victims today.
The Urban Development Board says it has served notices to the structure owners before the demolitions.
We gave a radio announcement for about 2 weeks. These journalists can attest to it. And we'll serve them notices, and you can see how they are marked. So this thing has been going on for a long while now. This thing started since end of last year. So today that we have the resources and everything to do it.
Coming to put these people in such a condition at this time is inhuman, if you ask me. And then the second aspect is that this is rainy season. If it were during dry season period, it would have been a little bit better because they can just shift their wares to maybe under a mango tree or whatever shade.
This is the first time such demolition exercise is carried out by the agency in Makurdi that has resulted in many people being pushed out of businesses. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Now to issues regarding health. Addressing the HIV and AIDS epidemic in Nigeria requires a concerted effort with stakeholders in Abuja, advocating for increased funding to fill existing gaps. With 1.9 million Nigerians living with HIV, heightened awareness and education efforts are imperative to curb further transmission. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
In recent years, many African countries, Nigeria included, have relied on donor agencies to finance their HIV response effort. However, stakeholders are advocating for a shift, emphasizing the importance of governments taking on a more active role in funding. Sustainable funding is essential to combat the spread of infection, particularly among youth, who comprise the largest demographic in the country.
The 9% was talking about the budgets, the domestic budgets, the funds that is coming from the federal government. And I can assure you that our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is very passionate about this. And I'm sure in the coming years, the domestic budget, will increase, just like you heard, the chair of ATM, the Honorable Amobi say, so we are improving gradually. And this conference is also to emphasize the need to have that domestic resources and to have ownership, government ownership of the mandate, the response to the HIV treatment and also the prevention aspects.
As the call for sustainable funding for HIV and AIDS response grows louder, youth advocates are pushing for increased enlightenment programs to raise awareness about HIV safety protocols among Nigerians. Abdul Qadir Ibrahim, representing the network of people living with HIV and AIDS in Nigeria, highlights the importance of such initiatives.
So all we need is people to go out and know the HIV status. That's the best thing every citizen could do, because once we are able to know the estimated number of people who know their HIV status, and eventually among those who get tested, we're able to know those that are positive, then we should be able to put them on treatment. So once that is done, I'm pretty sure we have a pathway of ending the AIDS epidemic in Nigeria.
Participants in the HIV prevention conference are sharing their experiences, underscoring the need for proactive measures in combating the epidemic.
Yeah, actually it's worrisome because, most people look at HIV/AIDS as a sickness that is gotten from sexual activities, but it's more than that. You can just contract it from maybe making contact with someone that already has the disease through blood contact, or maybe using an object that the person used. So you can get it without even knowing that you're in it. Maybe you use the barber's shop and maybe he didn't sterilize his barbing tool.
Basically what we're actually into is to actually desegregate HIV messages to adolescents and young persons. So we have a WhatsApp group where we actually educate young MSM who are sex worker on how they could actually stay safe and actually protect themselves from HIV.
In the past year, the National Agency for the Control of AIDS introduced the National HIV and AIDS Strategic Plan 2023-2027 alongside the Sustainability Pathway for National HIV Response 2023 to 2030. This document aimed to bolster the HIV response with the overarching goal of ending AIDS by 2030. However, their full implementation hinges on securing sustainable funding. Without adequate financial support, achieving this ambitious target will remain out of reach. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now to the foreign scene. Kenya's government has continued the forceful eviction of people living in most of the informal settlements in Nairobi that are next to rivers. President William Ruto last week ordered the evacuation of all homes along the nation's waterways. The announcement came a day after a torrent of water swept away scores of people in an area some 50 kilometers east of the capital. Tensions were high in Nairobi's settlements on Tuesday, with residents saying they were caught unawares despite the 48-hour directive to move lapsing 5 days ago. As excavators and bulldozers pulled down structures, some residents watched helplessly as others tried to grab iron sheets, timber, and anything of value they could get their hands on. The death toll in weeks of flooding and landslide caused by torrential rain has risen to over 200.
Ruto, we voted for you because you said you'd safeguard the poor. Now are you helping the poor or finishing them off? If you plan to finish poor people, then just bomb us all and get it done with. You're finishing us, Ruto, and you claim to be a man of God. Now what are we going to do? We love our president, and that is why we supported him. He should come to our aid, because here we had no problem moving. We ask for urgent help to resettle people here who have nowhere to stay and nothing.
And now to the world of sports, where Victor Boniface, Nathan Teller and their Bayern Lukovic teammates are set to break a 59-year-old record ahead of the Thursday Europa League second leg semi-final with clash with Roma. Leverkusen stretched its unbeaten run to 48 games on Sunday after hammering Eintracht Frankfurt 5-1 in the Bundesliga. The win means that Leverkusen equaled the record for the longest unbeaten run across all top-level matches since the introduction of European competition. According to UEFA, Leverkusen shares the mark with Portuguese giants Benfica, which sets the record between 1963 and 1965. Well, with that, we've come to the end of News Update here on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all our social media platforms for more news, programs, and documentaries. My name is Lilian Ogazi. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.